To bore the 3.5-inch hole to put the chains in, you had to bore down through. Boom logs were, that big around, so it's a lot of work. When I was a kid up north here camping with my folks as a boy, I used to run around the logs, and I watched the rivermen working, and I decided when I was 18 years old that's what I wanted to do. So I came up and moved to Maine and did that, and here I am. To me it was exciting, running on logs out on the jams in the whitewater and working out of boats. I liked the camaraderie of the men you worked with. A lot of these old fellows I worked with couldn't even swim, and they worked on the drive all their life. I knew it was on the National Register of Historical Places. I worked in museums, went to art schools, and said I'll make it a museum. And I started on these displays here, tying some ropes, putting a few tools up, and then one thing led to another, and I just kept filling the place up. You get 2 logs. You jam this down through the hole in the first log, all the way through until this ring hits the hole, and bring this up through the hole in the second log, and then turn the toggle sideways. Grab a couple barrels of boom plugs. The ring went in through one hole in one log, came out, and it went up in the toggle, and then you drove this one of those boom plugs I showed you right in here. These are for rolling logs, and that will grab the round log. Caulk boots. Spike boots, because all this history, all these tools, once the river drive stopped, they were just going on the dump.
These loggers had to work from sunup till sundown. They left their families, and that meant that the wives at home had to tend to the farms. The story needs to be told because it is what shaped Maine. If it wasn't for the logging industry, that produced the need for farming, grocery stores, blacksmith shops. It created what Maine has become today.
They always said if men are standing on the shore watching the logs go by, everything's running good because it's not jamming up. The wood would always come down, but there'd be a certain percentage of it that would jam up on the rocks. They called them wing jams, would be on the shores. Center jams would be on a rock. And these gorges up here, they'd lower a man down on the rope, the crew. He'd have a long pole with about 6 sticks of dynamite, stick that in the jam, and then they'd yank him up out of there, and she'd blow, and hopefully that would start the jam going. Or you'd send a man down with an axe, that initial key log, if you can find that and cut that with an axe. When that starts cracking, you get out of there. This would be a boom filled with wood out here. Here's the boom house we're in right now. And these strings of boom would be strung each side of the river. This bag here is being filled up with pulp coming down the river. When it gets full, this whole bag, they'd marry these 2 ends together and it would form a big round boom.
Once the snow melted, the ice went out of the rivers. Those logs were pushed into the rivers to be sent into the next watershed. Say they were in the Sebois River. The Sebois River is going to lead it into the Penobscot River. The Penobscot River is going to take it to the Bangor area.
Here the wood would come into Sebois here, down the West Branch to Chesuncook Village. They boom it up here. We tow it down here to Rip Dam, sluice it through the dam, run 30 miles down the river, pick it up here to Ambajejus Boom House, down through here to North Twin, and then right in behind the mill. Most of your river driving techniques and tools and ways of doing things started on the East Coast here, when America was being settled. And we're talking 1820s in Maine here.
This is our 1820 camp. It's a replica of what a camp would have been like back in the early 1800s when men were just starting to log in northern Maine. They would come up the rivers, find a stand of trees, and build a camp without nails. They used pegs, as you can see them going up through the logs, to hold the logs in place. Same with on the roof. They would split the shingles and lay them up on the roof and then peg them so that they would stay in place. Hard work was hard work. It got us to where we are today.
So a lot of men drowned, a lot of men spent their life working in the woods and never had any rewards or acknowledgement for doing that. People up in Maine take pride in being good workers and working hard, and it's part of their heritage. And if they can, older people can instill that in their children, all the better, you know. That's what made this nation great, and that's what made northern Maine a lumber capital of the world.